life, an eternal spark. I call you healer. You can mend any broken heart. I call you faithful Father. You finish everything you start. My soul was made to respond. I know you by 1,000 names, and you deserve every single one. You've given me a million ways to be amazed at what you've done, and I am lost in wonder at all you do. I know you by 1,000 names, and I'll sing them back to you. Beyond what I can dream, your grace is patient. You've never given up on me. I call you bondage breaker. Handing out the prison keys. My soul was made to be free. I know you by 1,000 names, and you deserve every single one. You've given me a million ways to be amazed at what you've done, and I am lost in wonder at all you do. I know you by 1,000 names, and I'll sing them back to you. Rock of ages, the great I am. You are King forever, the beginning and the end. You are Lord and servant. You are Son of Man. The Lion of Judah. You're the risen Lamb. You're the second Adam to lead us home. You are Yahweh's glory, revealed in flesh and bone. You are ocean potter, will make a way. You are death defeater, you have risen from the grave. You are full of mercy, you are rich in love. You are Jesus, Messiah, the one true God. I know you by 1,000 names, and you deserve every single one. You've given me a million ways to be amazed at what you've done, and I am lost in wonder at all you do. I know you by 1,000 names, and I will sing them back to you.
All right. Let's go ahead, give somebody some high fives around you.
Maddie, let's
Say what's up. Tell them I'm glad you're here. That's right, that's right. That's right. Emma, what's going on? There we go, here we go. All the way.
How are you?
Air fives. Turkey, isn't that what that's called? Knox, I'll give you one at the end, man. Well, hey, let me tell y'all about something that is... well, let me ask you this. Does anybody know what's coming up in the next couple of weeks? The fair, there we go, the fair. The fair is coming into town. Sarah Kate, Do you enjoy the fair?
I love the fair.
You love the fair? Are you like a funnel cake person or like a turkey leg person?
I have to go with funnel cakes. for
Funnel
sure.
cake? Anybody else getting a funnel cake? I'm getting like I'm getting it all. Funnel cake, fried Oreos, some other expensive stuff that I can make at my house. I'm getting it all. I love it. I love the fair. And speaking of the fair, this is a big event for us because on October 9th, we will not have Collide, and here's why. We will be at the fair celebrating and serving and praising our Savior with some of these very people right here. Will, you gonna be there? Tanya, you gonna be there? Anybody else up here gonna be there? Everybody's like nodding their head like, if I ain't on the stage, I'm gonna be in the front row. I'm with you, so make sure you mark that on your calendar. Always a great time for us to get together. And you know, we tear it up. We do it no different than we do here. We go to the front of the stage and all the old people come up with us. And it's just beautiful. It's great. It's great. Have you been, Sarah Kate?
I have been. I've
You've
been
been?
every year.
And we get crunk, don't we?
Oh, yeah.
If crunk is even still relevant, I don't know, but that's the word that I know. So we get crunk, we get lit, we party hard, and we worship the name of God. But Sarah Kate, I think we need to play a game. You think that's all
yeah.
right?
I think we should.
need to play a game. All right. Anybody? I need 2 people. Sarah Kate, I'm gonna give you the responsibility. Pick me 2 people that are
Okay.
not from this area right here.
Haley.
2 people. Here we go. Haley Jackson. I say I need 1. I need 1. Let's
You
see. Creighton. Creighton, have you played a game? You played a game last week. Sit down. 2 weeks ago,
Okay.
you played a game. Somebody else. Gavin, have you played a game?
Yeah.
You have played. Does anybody has not played? Carter. Right here. Right here. There we go. There we go. We got our 2 people here. We're gonna play this game tonight called Talk It Up, I think is what.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember. It's in the video though. Okay, the video explains the name. Okay, so we're gonna show you a video of how to play this game, and then we're gonna play it. So check it out.
In this challenge, the contestant must follow step-by-step instructions to create America's newest sensation, the Tilt-A-Cup. Step 1, catch a bounced ping-pong ball in an 8-cup stack. Step 2, move the bottom cup to the top. Step 3, repeat until 6 balls have landed in their containers. Step 4, stay focused. Each time a ball is added, the unpredictable Tilt-A-Cup grows less and less steady. Failure to complete this task in 60 seconds may result in elimination.
Elimination. There we go. Go ahead and turn your cup over, Carter. Turn them over. So what you're going to do is you're going to bounce a cup into the top one. Take 1 cup at a time. Go down, put it in. Do the same thing. You got it. We're going to see in 60 seconds who can just make the tallest tower, okay? The biggest tilt-a-cup, so to speak. You ain't going to run out of ping pong balls. I'm telling you right now. You ain't going to do it. You ain't gonna, it ain't possible. But I really hope you prove me wrong, Haley. Let's see. Are y'all ready? You can get a little closer to the ping pong balls. Y'all are kind of scared. I don't know why you're so scared of the ping pong balls. You're actually gonna need those. So, Sarah Kate, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Y'all help me count them down. 3, 2, 1. Go, 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 go. There we go. There we
Austin,
go.
who are you
Oh, they're
rooting
doing
for?
it. The first one's always easiest, Sarah Kate. Always.
Who are you rooting for?
I'm gonna go with Carter. Who you?
Oh,
It's
okay.
just on my side. You know what I mean? So what
I'll
about
go
you?
with girl power
You're
with
gonna roll with
Haley.
Haley says she's got it. It's all right. We got more
That's right,
ping
Haley.
pong
Come on.
balls. You're
Keep
good.
going. Keep going. Keep going.
You good? Come on.
Here
Let's
you
go, Carter. Come on now. I don't want to brag
Who
on
are you guys
nobody,
rooting
but
for? You gotta root for your team. Go root for your team.
man, come on now. It's hard. I know. That's all right.
Yeah, Haley.
Oh.
There's another one.
20 seconds. 20 seconds. I ain't trying to brag on nobody, but Pastor
How many
Jeremy
do you have,
Henry
Haley?
did this today and got like 7 or 8. So.
Oh, we got close here.
There we go. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh my goodness, that was great. Y'all give it up for him. Give it up for him. That was hard. It was hard. I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. Carter and Haley, I'm gonna give you guys both a Chick-fil-A gift card. Go on, get you a new Autumn Spice milkshake, okay? Those things are awesome. So go get one of them. They're trying to get all this figured out. This is so awesome. That's good. Sarah Kate, let me ask you something. How was your week?
That's
One
pretty
for
good.
you? Pretty good?
Yeah.
What was the highlight of your week?
I didn't have to take a calculus test on Friday.
You didn't have to take I don't even understand calculus, once you take the numbers out, I'm lost, okay? I don't understand it. X equals, I don't care. That's what I live by. So, but why don't you go ahead, high five some people again, ask them if they're going to the fair, and then we're getting back into worship.
All right, guys, let's bring it back. First of all, it's good to see you guys. I haven't been here in a couple weeks. I'm thankful to be here with you. We are very excited about the fair, and we hope that you guys show up, because if you show up, we're going to obviously give you guys a shout out, get you guys down to the front, in front of everybody else at some point in the night. You never know when it's going to happen. But right now, I want us to take an opportunity. I know we're having a great time, we're having a good time with all of our friends here, but I want us to take an opportunity to kind of focus in on the reason why we're gathered here tonight. Focus in on the fact that the only thing that we are capable of giving back to our Creator, there's only one thing, and that is to sing in thankfulness and in gratefulness, in gratitude for who He is and what He's done in our lives. It's literally the only thing that we are able to give back to God. So as we go through this next song, I want you guys to kind of, maybe you don't have the best voice in the world. Maybe you don't know how to keep time in music. Just put that away for a moment. Maybe you're looking forward to doing something after Collide tomorrow morning, whatever it is. Put that aside just for a moment, and let's focus in on what God may have for us tonight. Don't miss possibly what could be a life-changing moment for you. Let's sing this out together.
God of covenant and faithful promises. Time and time again, you have proven you do just what you say. Though the storms may come and the winds may blow, I remain steadfast and let my heart learn when you speak a word, it will come to pass. And greatest is your faithfulness to me.
Come on, you sing it.
Great is your faithfulness to me. closer, simplicity. There's humility to the way you love me, in honesty and purity. God, you make it easy. No special words or formulas could ever win you over. For love is undeserved. Even when I can't see clearly, somehow you still make it easy. Your love's uncomplicated. You love me just the way I am. So I stand before you. I'm totally surrendered, with open hands and open heart. Jesus, have your way in me. Oh, oh, oh. Jesus, have your way in me.
we love you. Jesus, how we treasure just the opportunity to give something back to you. Sometimes it's hard to recognize. It's hard to recognize your presence in a room. It's hard to recognize your presence in a situation. It's hard to recognize your presence in a friend and a family member. But God, you're with us. You're fighting for us. And you love us so deeply. Help us to align our hearts with yours. Help us to focus on you and you alone. Follow your leading and your voice. Father, I pray a blessing over each and every high school student here tonight. God, protect them, watch over them, guide them. Lord, let them know that you're there. We love you. We thank you for this opportunity in time of worship. It's in your name we pray, Father. Amen. You guys can have a seat.
How's it going, everyone? We are in week 2 of How to Friend. Last week, Sam Thompson, he came up here and he got to open it up this series, and that was really awesome. I love when Sam gets to speak, and I get to continue that in this second week of the series. And I don't know about how many of you were growing up, but for me, I was homeschooled. Then I went to some really rinky-dink private schools. They don't even exist anymore. To explain that a little bit more, I was the only 3rd grader in a 2nd grade class, but I did go to 4th grade the next year, so I wasn't held back. But these were some really, really small little schools. And so I didn't even get into public school until 7th grade. So I was a little sheltered, okay? I was just a little sheltered, and I wanted to fit in. And so I got around some people that would put up with me, and I started to want to be like them. I wanted to pick up their behaviors. And so really getting into high school, I had learned how to talk by hanging around these people. And so I've shared this before in the past. I cussed a lot. It would put my mom to shame if she knew the things that came out of my mouth. And I would just say some pretty vulgar, pretty bad things because I just wanted to impress the people I was around. I just wanted to be like them. I wanted to be accepted. And I just thought this is the way to do it, apparently. I need to talk like this because I just thought this was the norm. And luckily for me, I never got in huge trouble for it. There was some instances I don't know. I know I definitely said some pretty bad things in front of some teachers. I don't know if they just thought they felt bad for me because I was kind of this nerdy guy. I don't know. Or they were just deaf. But there was some close calls that I should have been in ISS, but I narrowly escaped it every time. And I don't know about you, but the thing is when we're surround ourselves with people, they tend to kind of influence us, right? They kind of tend to, we start to kind of rub shoulders with them. We start to pick up some of the things because, see, the people you hang around can have a big impact on your life. Another example of this would be I had a friend in middle school and in high school, and a good time for him was getting dressed up in all black and camo and riding bikes through a pretty expensive neighborhood with a golf course in it and doing some light vandalism. He thought that was the wise thing to do. And I wanted to be accepted, so I was like, yeah, I think this is really stupid, but I'll do it with you, let's go. And we never stole anything or anything, but I knew every time I went with him that this was not a good idea. We didn't do anything that would land us in jail, that we'd get in huge trouble, but it was still things that we shouldn't have been doing. But hey, he said we should do it, so I would go out there, and I mean, it was so dumb that even one night a police officer sees us riding on these bikes in all black, middle of the night, and he's like, hey, do you guys know about some car break-ins? I'm like, no, don't know anything about any car break-ins, because again, I promise we weren't breaking into any cars. And he goes, well, why are you guys wearing all black? And in my head, I'm like, yeah, why are we wearing all black? And my friend's like, oh, I don't know. He's like, why don't you guys go home? And so, like some good middle schoolers, we said, yes, sir, we will go. And we probably rode home for a block or two, and then we continued to ride around his neighborhood. And again, it's because I let this guy I hung out with impact my life, because the people you hang around can have a big impact on your life. And think about this. When was the last time you made a bad decision? And not just a bad decision, maybe a decision that got you in trouble. I'm not asking you to raise your hand. I'm not asking you to shout out what you did. But a decision that ultimately got you in some type of trouble, something that you're like, I should not have done that. That was wrong. a thing that, when that happened, you got caught, maybe you got in trouble, you got lectured, you got kicked off the team, you got exposed, you got punished, you got embarrassed, you got detention. And when that happened, I think there's a common denominator when these types of things happen, is that you got in trouble, right? You did this thing. This happened to you. Yeah, a lot of times when these things happen, your mom and dad say, why did you do that? And you say, well, because so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, it isn't them, it is you. You chose to do that. We aren't just innocent bystanders, we are participants. You got to make that decision. You were there. Nobody made you do that. You chose to do that. You were not innocent in that situation. And I think a lot of times in life, when we get in trouble, it's gonna be about 99% of the time, it was 100% you pretty much knew you shouldn't have been there, you shouldn't have been doing that, you shouldn't have been around that person. There's some exceptions for sure that sometimes, something happens and you legitimately didn't know what was going on. But a lot of times we have that feeling when someone says, hey, come over, let's go do this, or let's go do that. We know that we shouldn't be doing that. We shouldn't go over there. We know most of the time, right? Because again, we aren't just innocent bystanders, we are participants. But what's also is true in many of these situations, they weren't made by ourselves. A lot of times the reason we did this is because, again, we were hanging around someone and we probably wanted to impress them. Or we were letting them kind of influence us because they're like, oh man, it'll be okay, you should do this. It'll be fine. It'll be okay, come on, let's just do it. It's just one time, it's not a big deal, it'll be a lot of fun. Just come over, it's gonna be okay. And we listen to them and we say, okay, yeah, it's just once, it'll be fine. And you can really apply this to any type of situation that can get you in trouble because it goes to any situation. But they keep kind of breaking you down. But again, you are the common denominator because they're breaking you down. You have the choice to listen. You have the choice to say, get away, or no, I'm not doing that. But a lot of times we keep letting them speak to us. We keep letting them tell us that we need to do this. Let's keep listening. And the thing is ultimately your friends will have a big influence on your quality of life now and where your life ends up later. And I know as a 9th grader, you're like, no. The friends that I have right now, that will not determine my future. The people that I'm hanging out with, this is just high school. But it does impact your future because the decisions you're making right now, the conversations that you're having, it can and it will potentially change the trajectory of your life. It can take you somewhere that you should not be. And when I think of trajectory, I think of spaceships and rockets. I love science, but I hate math. So really, it's just biology for me. But what I love about astronauts and the things that NASA can do when they're shooting off a rocket or SpaceX is that they can sit there and they can analyze all these little things and they can get a spaceship to be able to attach to the space station. And it's amazing how much math and how much detail goes into that because it just takes one thing. If it's the weight of that space shuttle, the fuel that's being expended, or even if the astronaut was to push something too early or too late, it can completely change the trajectory of that space shuttle so that it can't dock right away. And that's like us. And an easy example for this, if you're like, I don't believe this whole trajectory thing, when you get in your car tonight, and if you can drive, or you can ask your mom and dad to do this, but don't do it very long. If your car is aligned, meaning your tires are pointing straight, when you're driving, just take your steering wheel and just turn it a little bit to the right or a little bit to the right, and a couple of things are gonna happen. If you continue with the steering wheel just a little bit, I'm not saying all the way, your tires shouldn't be like this, but instead of being like this, they're just this way or that way, what's going to happen is you're going to hit the curb, or you're gonna go through the median, or you're gonna hit the car on either side of you. It's just going to happen. Because again, if we just change that wheel a little bit, it is changing the trajectory of us, and that's what our friends do to us. And so I know that sometimes, again, if you take that steering wheel and you just do it, you're not gonna go off the road right away. But it will eventually happen. It's going to happen. Even if it's a straight road, eventually you're gonna go off. And so that's what our friends, even in 9th grade, can do to us, is that it's not gonna be major now, but the things that we start doing, the things that we start saying, it can and it will change. And we've all heard stories of people that, man, when they were growing up, man, everything, this guy, this girl, they're going places. Man, they're the top of their class. They're gonna go to this awesome school. They're gonna have this awesome job. But then they started hanging out, or they started being around people that did not make the wise choice, did not do the smart thing. And then they started making some pretty dumb decisions. And you know what? Their life did not end up like everyone thought it was going to. And that's just not me being a pastor just telling you guys doom and gloom. This is things that I've experienced. These are things that I've seen. And hopefully none of you are doing these things, but to just give a prime example, I know kids, man, they were amazing athletes. They were gonna get scholarships. They were gonna go off to colleges. And they hung out with a group of people that just said, man, just try this one time. Just try it. It's gonna be fine. Just try it. And you know what? It probably was fine that one time. But then they did it again. And they did it again. And to the point where, do you know what? That's all they wanted to do. Soccer, that wasn't them anymore. Grades, they didn't care about that. They just wanted to go after school and do that one thing. To the point that I know guys that aren't alive anymore because, you know what? When they graduated, they upgraded. They continued to do things that they shouldn't do, and they eventually killed them because they OD'd on it. It's because they hung out with that one person or that group of people that said, man, it's fine, just try it one time, just try it. But they kept doing it over and over again. And I'm not saying that everyone, if you have bad friends, you're gonna become addicted to drugs or anything. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is because of decisions we make today with our friends, it can change where we end up. It can definitely take us down a road that we don't want to. And ultimately, that's because friends are a big deal. Friends are a big deal. And I understand that some of us in this room, we don't have as many friends as other people in this room. Some of us, you may even say, I don't have any friends. And I get that. It's not a fun place to be. But the reality is God has created us to be relational, and he wants you to have friends. But some of you in this room, you have lots of friends. You have a huge circle of friends, right? But what I want you to realize tonight as we continue going on, but man, friends are a big deal, and they can really change your life for the better or for the worse, but it all depends on what we do. And so tonight we're gonna be looking in the Old Testament, we're gonna be looking in the book of Proverbs. And if you didn't know anything about the book of Proverbs, it's full of wisdom. It's full of a lot of good things for our lives, things that we need to hear, things that can change the trajectory of our lives. And it was written by Solomon, who was the wisest person to live on earth. Wise king. Probably a story you know of Solomon was when he was presented with two women that said, hey, this baby's mine. They both said that he says, which seems really crazy in the moment, he says, oh, it's both your kid? Oh, okay, well, we'll just cut the kid in half and then you both can have half of the kid. And so the one mom goes, no, let her have it. And the other mom says, sounds like a good idea. So who was the mom? Not the one who says, yeah, sounds like a good idea, because you're probably like, well, that's my brother, I'd be fine. No, if you have a kid, you don't want a dead half of your child, right? So in that moment, he's like, I know how to figure out which one's the mom. And so it's things like that, maybe not the best example, but this guy, he was super wise and he could figure things out. And so this is what he says in Proverbs 12:26. This is what he says. He says, the righteous choose their friends carefully, but the way of the wicked lead them astray. The righteous choose their friends carefully, but the way of the wicked lead them astray. So if we define righteous, this simply would just be people who make right decisions, right? People who make good decisions. The righteous are people who make it. So these aren't the holier than holy. These are just people who make good decisions. A lot of us in this room, you're righteous people. In this, right, what we're talking about. This isn't a saved person, it's just a person who makes good decisions. And so righteous people, they choose their friends carefully. People who make good decisions, they're choosing their friends wisely. They wanna be smart with that. They wanna make sure that they're paying attention to who their friends are, because they realize that the people they're hanging out right now can dictate their future. These people can lead them astray. These people can change their trajectory. They can change everything up. And I understand, again, that you don't always get to decide who you hang out with, especially in high school, because you're forced to be in certain classes. You're forced to be on a team with other team members. You don't get to pick who's exactly in your small group here at Collide. But you do get to choose how much influence that person has in your life. You do get to choose how much you're listening to them. Are you gonna do what they want you to do? You get to choose those things. You may not 100% get to choose the amount of time you're with them, but you can choose how much influence they have on you. That's what righteous people get to do. But then this is what it says about the wicked. It says on the second half, it says, but the way of the wicked leads them astray. And this basically is just people who are the opposite of right decision makers. When we hear the word wicked, we may think of different things, and I know that sounds, you think of like the wicked witch, that's what I think. You think of something bad, but really, a wicked person in this context is just a person who makes bad decisions. These are the people who are looking out for themselves. And honestly, a lot of times, wicked people are kind of fun to be around. They know how to have a good time. They make you laugh because they're just there to please themselves. And again, that's a lot of times fun. And so they can be even fun to be around. But here's what I want you to know is that they think about themselves and they think about right now. They don't have your future or your best interest in mind, because again, usually these people are pretty selfish. They just care about me. They don't care about you, they care about me. And if you're having a good time with them, awesome. But they're just most caring about is if I'm having a good time. They're not looking at your future, they're looking at the here and now. And when Solomon says that it leads them astray, he basically referring to trouble. And that's why you may have a friend who's a good person and a ton of fun to be around, but they're not someone that you honestly know that you should be around, because they're not someone who's making the right choice. They're not someone who's pushing you forward, someone who's holding you accountable. They're just like, yeah, man, that's cool. Hey, do you wanna go do this? You wanna go do that? They talk a way that you probably shouldn't be talking. You know that you shouldn't really be around this person. Is this someone that your mom and dad would truly be happy knowing that you're hanging out with if they knew the real person? Because let's be honest, we know how to present ourselves to others. Your friends know how to present themselves to your parents. But the person that they are when your parents aren't around, is that who you really should be hanging out with? Think about that. Another way to think about it is, think of your life as a giant dartboard. Everyone's seen a dartboard. Maybe you've played darts or whatnot. It's kind of cheesy to think like this, but we'll just go with it. You know, a dartboard looks like something like this, right? You got bullseye right here, and you got all these different circles. We see that? So, you know, if we're the center, right, we have friends. These are our inner circle of friends, right? You know, we probably should start thinking about, okay, this person, they know how to have a lot of fun, but I get in a lot of trouble with them. Maybe they shouldn't quite be here. I'm not saying that you have to drop them altogether, but maybe this person shouldn't be so close to me anymore. Maybe they have a little too much influence in my life. Maybe they need to be kind of on the edge of the circle. You might have a friend that needs to be completely out of the circle. I don't know. Everyone's gonna be different. You might have a friend that does push you forward, that does hold you accountable. Maybe you're not as close to them as you should be. Maybe they need to be closer to your circle. And you know what? You might have a friend that they're pretty neutral. They're not holding you back, but they're not pushing you forward. And that, you know, that's okay to have friends like that. Maybe they're somewhere in the middle. I don't know. But all of you, your dartboard's gonna look different than mine because, again, we all have varying amounts of friends. But there's gonna be some friends that they don't need to be on our dartboard. They don't need to be in our inner circle. They don't need to have any influence on us. They need to be gone because they are not thinking about you. They are that wicked person. They are just thinking about themselves. And if you think about this a little bit more, you know, see, Jesus even had the same pattern in his life, right? When Jesus went around, he's speaking, he had groups following him, right? He's influencing people. These people, they wanted to hear what he's saying. But then ultimately, he had 12 disciples that he had and he led, right? These 12 guys, they followed him, they did his things. And then out of those 12, there was three guys that were in his inner circle. These 3 people that he was influencing, you know, they were probably trying to influence him, but he even had to tell one of them, you know, bro, you need to get out of here. But they were in his bullseye. These were the 3 people that he impacted. So it's okay to have a bunch of friends, but we need to be protective of that inner circle and how close and how many friends are in that inner circle. And if you think about it this way, and this is really our bottom line, I want you guys to think about this, is that the friends you choose impact the future you will have. The friends you choose impact the future you will have. It's very simple. The friends that you choose will impact the future you have. Your parents have probably at some point in time, potentially, have said that, hey, you need to have some good friends because your friends are going to dictate your future. The people you hang around, they're going to change your trajectory. Those people, it's very important to make sure you have good friends. Maybe some of you, your parents have told you, you don't need to hang out with that person anymore. I don't want you to hang out with that person anymore, which may have made you want to hang out with that person even more because if mom and dad hate them, it must be really cool people because my parents don't know what's cool. And so you know that you shouldn't be around these people. And again, if we want great friendships either today or one day in the future, then we need to be friends with people who care about our future and influence us in a positive way. We need to find those people. And if we take it a step forward, we need to make sure that we're a friend worth having. We need to make sure we're a friend worth having. We need to make sure that we are somebody that people want to be friends with. Because if everyone in this room right now started doing a mental dartboard and they're moving people around and you're like, oh, I need to move this person. Because we can all think of people at our school. We can think of people in this room in our small groups. They're like, man, that person, they're going places. That person, they could push me forward. That's the person I need to get closer. But what if that person, when they think of you, they're like, they need to get off my dartboard. Like, we don't want to be someone like that. We need to be a friend worth having. So it's not enough just for us to want to have friends worth having. We need to make sure that we're a friend worth having. Because great friendships start with great people. And while you're waiting, it's a great time for you to learn how to become a great friend. Again, we need to learn how to do that. We need to find out what are the things that I'm looking for in a friendship because those are the things that I need to display. Because see, in life, we have free will. We get to decide, right? God has a plan for you, but ultimately he didn't create you to just only do that one thing because he lets you choose what you're going to do, which is really, really amazing. To put this simply, I have a robot vacuum. Love it. This thing's super awesome. Bought it when I was at Passion Camp on Amazon Prime Day. I can literally, my wife, when we were at Snowbird, she texted me and said, hey, can you run the vacuum? I just pull up my app and I'm like, go vacuum. She could say, hey, can you tell it to vacuum this one room? I can draw a little circle. It goes and vacuums. That vacuum does whatever I tell it to do. But you know what that vacuum doesn't get to do? That vacuum doesn't get to say, hey, Robbie, I don't want to vacuum today. I was thinking I'm gonna go cut your grass. I wanna go cut grass. It doesn't get to do that. It doesn't have free will. And that's what you have. You do have free will. And see, God lets you choose who your friends are. He lets you choose the things that you say, the things that you do. And I truly believe that when we make bad decisions, when we don't take the trajectory that he wanted us to take, it can change the outcome. And I'm not saying your entire life's ruined. I'm not saying that God can't use you anymore, because that would be false. Because we've seen some amazing examples in the Bible where some people did some really dumb things, some things that I'm sure God, I know he didn't have planned for him. He didn't want Paul to go kill a bunch of Christians, but Paul does become one of the greatest missionaries, right? He didn't want Samson to cut his hair, right? But he can still use these people. He didn't want David to get with Bathsheba, but he still uses David, right? So God can still use you even where you're at right now. And so that's why it's so important for us to analyze our friendships. It's so important for us to make sure that we are making some wise decisions, that we are looking at the people that are influencing us. And so a couple of ways that we can do that this week is, one, we can pray for great friends. Well, I don't want to do that. Well, do it. Pray for some great friends. Sit down and pray, because this is what it says in Proverbs. It says, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. So as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. And what I want you to think about with that is, man, that's accountability. If you've ever been in a small group with me, we've talked about that. We've talked about accountability. It's so important in our lives. We need people that can tell you like it is to push you forward. Those are friends worth having. Because when you think of a knife, and I carry one around, I carry a knife pretty much everywhere I go. This knife, I'm gonna be honest with you, it's pretty dull. Because you know what this knife gets used for a lot of times? Opening my wife's Amazon packages and my Amazon packages. So I open those things, and cardboard and tape, it just dulls that knife. It just dulls it. And you know what a dull knife's good for? Not a whole lot. And some of our friends, they're like my pocket knife. They're pretty dull. They're not sharpening you. They're not keeping you on edge. They're not helping you. They're not making you better. Because this knife is a pretty nice knife if you go and buy this knife, but as is right now, it's not a very good knife. If someone else who had the same knife saw my knife as is, they'd be like, dude, you need to sharpen that knife. And I do. And that's how some of us are. We're like a dull knife. We're not being sharpened. We don't have people in our lives that we're letting tell us, hey, I don't think you need to be doing that. Hey, you need to stop doing that. Because like I said earlier, going back to one of my examples earlier about how I talked and how I cussed all the time, I had a guy who actually one day at the lunch table said, man, Robbie, why do you cuss so much? I said, Evan, everybody cusses you cuss all the time. And he says, no, I don't. And I'm like, whatever. He's like, just watch. And so I did. I watched for like the next week or two. And you know what? Evan didn't cuss. Evan didn't. Me and Evan weren't even very close. I actually thought Evan was not who he was at that point in time. I didn't realize that Evan had met Jesus and had completely changed his life. I had been thinking low of Evan because I knew Evan from 9th and 10th grade, and he wasn't the person I should be hanging out with. But now I'm talking like someone that he shouldn't be hanging out with, and he's holding me accountable, telling me, hey man, you shouldn't talk like that. And so that helped me, that changed me. And I wish I could say from that moment forward I was perfect, but because of that moment, because of him holding me accountable, it did change my life. I really did make an effort not to talk like that anymore, and it was tough. But in that moment, I made a decision. It's like I was gonna listen to this voice. I was gonna listen to Evan. Evan said, man, why do you talk like that? You don't need to be talking like that. And that's what some of us need to do. And then the second one, we're gonna spend a little bit of time on this, is you need to ask yourself some important questions about your friends. This is tough. And so when we go through some of these next things, what I want you to do at the very end of it, don't do it early. I want you to take a picture of it because I think this is something that everyone, including the adults, need to do this week. I think you need to go through these questions. You need to look through the people that you're letting influence your life. But what we're fixing to do is we're gonna look at some questions, and these questions are gonna help us to see, do we have righteous friends, do we have wicked friends? Do we have friends that we need to start moving out of our circle? Do we have some friends maybe we need to keep exactly where they're at? Or do we have some friends that move closer? So let's go through these questions. 1, can you count on them to be right decision makers? Can you count on them to be right decision makers? 2, do they make not just right, but the wise decision? And I've been saying that a lot, right? If a lot of you gone through 252 kids or you serve in 252 kids, that's one of the things we want our elementary kids to know around here. Is like we want them to make the wise choice. And so we need to make sure that the people that have influence over us, they're making wise decisions. Another one, are they always caught up in drama? Are they always caught up in drama? So be thinking of it just through like 1 or 2 friends right now as we're going through this, is the people that I hang out with the most, the people that I'm letting influence me, are they caught up in drama? Do they seem to constantly be living in the fallout of bad decisions? Are they always living in the fallout of bad decisions? It just seems like it's just repetitive. They always do something dumb and now they're just having to pay for that. Do they have your best interests in mind? Are they thinking about you when you're around them? Are they thinking about just themselves? Are they just pretty selfish? And then this last one, do they treat other people well? Do they treat other people well? So if you really care about your friendships, I want to say it, I challenge you to take out your phone and take a picture of this, because I would want to go through these questions this week, tonight even, and go through, are these the people I'm hanging out with? Do these people, what are my answers for them? So I would challenge you to take out your phone, go through these questions with your friends. Or not literally with them, like through your head. You don't have to, I wouldn't do that with your friends because they're not gonna be probably honest with you. Unless they're a really good friend, then they'll be honest with you about themselves. And here's the second part of this. It's not enough just to do this with your friends. This is the part that gets hard. Go through those questions and do it with yourself. What are the answers for yourself? Be honest. And that's where it gets always tough. It's easy to say the answer for other people, like, oh yeah, they don't care about others, they don't treat others well. But when it's a whole other ballgame when it's you. Do you treat others well? Are you always caught up in drama? Are you making wise decisions? Are you a friend worth having, essentially? Start doing that. And that would be my last challenge for you for that. Because again, the friends you choose impact the future you will have. And I believe that God wants us to have life-giving, sharpening friendships where we can see God at work in the relationship, and invite God into your journey of building friendships. Do that. God, again, he's created us to be relational. He wants you to have good friends. He wants you to have friends. That's what he created us to do. Not only does he want to have a relationship with you and you have a relationship with him, he wants you to have relationships with those, the people around you. He wants you to have those things. And so my challenge for you is make sure that you have friendships that are pushing you forward, because again, the friends you choose impact the future that you will have. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for each and every one of these students in here tonight, Lord. And just thank you for the people that you have given us in our lives, Lord. And just help the students and leaders even in here tonight, Lord, to just look at our friendships. Do we have people that are thinking about our best interests? Or do we have people that are making wise decisions, people that you would be proud of us hanging around? Or are we hanging around some people that are not caring about us, that they are just fun to be around? These people are not pushing us forward. And then lastly, Lord, please help us to self-identify. Are we a friend worth having? Are we a friend worth having? Are we someone that other people want to be friends with because ultimately we do care about them, that we are pushing them forward? Help us to think through these. Bring us back safely next week so as we finish up the series. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. All right, one announcement. Wednesday nights, we've been doing our Deeper series. I challenge you guys, if you have not come out, this is week 3, this Wednesday, 6 to 7:30 in the